Welcome to the Chase MedSearch podcast, the place where we dive deep into the medical device sales industry by discussing the current trends, timeless philosophies, and amazing experiences that shape our niche of the industry. Join me, Jordan Chase, on a guided tour as I speak with established sales leaders and professionals as they share stories that will help you get in, stay in, and thrive in your medical device sales career. Let's start the show. Welcome back to the Chase MedSearch podcast. I am excited to have my next guest on, Bob Everett. I have spoken to former managers of Bob, great guy, very well known, well established, especially in the neuromodulation industry and very accomplished. He's a former college athlete who lettered in tennis, golf, and cheerleading, 5-time President's Club winner, 2-time Rep of the Year. With over 20 years in healthcare sales, he's been an individual contributor, player, coach, manager, regional manager, as well as a startup orthopedic practice consultant. Welcome to the Chase MedSearch podcast, Bob.
Thanks for having me, Jordan. I appreciate the invite and have been looking forward to this since we talked a few weeks ago.
Absolutely, man. Great to have you on. Tell our audience how you got into medical devices. That's always a key question that comes up is how did somebody break in? So many people are on the outside looking in. What was your big breakthrough? How'd you get in?
So in college, I was a finance major, and I took that as a career choice. Directly after college, I did an internship my 5th year of college and turned that into a full-time position. They had 3 interns that they had brought into Wells Fargo. At the end of my 5th year of college, they did away with the internship program, and I had so much success in the banking world that they were able to give me the opportunity to go full-time as a student. So I took a position with them. I went basically from an intern to a vice president within a very short amount of time. My first year in the finance business, they gave away 8 awards at our awards dinner, and I received 7 of them. So what I was able to do is transition a love of selling and customer experience into medical device sales. I interviewed with a small medical device company called PMT in their neurosurgery division. I was able to obtain a position selling epilepsy, depth and Cortac electrodes for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was honestly, when I was going through the interview process, I was going through a recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel that I had the best interview. And one of the things that sometimes everything is in the follow-up. So what I was able to do is to reach out to the manager, tell him my concerns about the interview, and I transitioned that into a final interview.
Yeah.
So when I did that, I was offered the position and I was able to take that position. I joined probably in the 3rd quarter of the year. The territory is vastly underperforming. Within a year and a half, the next year I reached my quota in October. And 2 months to go in the year, I was able to turn that into, within the next 4 months, I became the manager of the area. So
Wow.
in a very short amount of time, being able to have some success in medical device. I attribute most of my success to finding a mentor, someone that's seasoned, someone that you can bounce ideas off of, being able to prepare yourself for situations with difficult customers, neurosurgery being one of the toughest areas to call on in all of medical device sales, especially neuromodulation, because every company is good, but finding your niche, finding, what makes the difference for you and owning the business. I think that's how I broke into medical device sales.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. You had a pretty progressive, fast-moving career. You've sold a number of therapies. Obviously, you were at PMT. I think you worked at Medi as well. Clinical innovations for Cole Biomedical, right?
Yeah, Cole Biomedical is really where I developed my skills. It was a distributorship out of Chantilly, Virginia. We sold all over the hospital, anesthesia. We sold into the operating room. We sold into cardiovascular. We sold into OBGYN. When I got into that business, one of the things that Cole is known for is developing products, bringing them to market, and then not always do they get to keep them, but you always have something new and exciting to talk about. So that job path, I met a guy named Chris Sparks He's still one of my mentors. I try to talk to him as much as I can. He's a DBS rep at Medtronic, has been for, I think, close to 20 years now. But when I met him, my career path changed a lot because it opened up opportunities for me to become better at my craft,
Hmm.
to be able to go deeper with customers, being able to find the why. And that truly changed my career path.
Yeah. A common theme with you, as I look at your career, I actually have your resume in front of me right now, is multiple awards, multiple President's Clubs, Sales Leadership Board, being named to that, Salesman of the Year, Rep of the Quarter, just on and on and on it goes. And then even before you got in, obviously you won 7 out of 8 awards. What is the common thread for you, Bob, in all these different environments and varied contexts that you would tell someone that aspires to get to this level of success, that wants to be winning these kinds of awards, that wants to have this kind of pedigree, if you will, in sales, that might be listening in on this podcast and how does this guy do it? He's successful in finance, he's successful in every vertical in medical. What would you tell someone like that?
I would tell someone to find your passion,
Hmm.
find your why, being humble, hungry, and also having a drive to be successful is a big part of that. You don't always have the answers. Every customer is different. So finding their why is a huge part of being successful. Being a good listener, being someone that can help them solve a problem, whether it be with the equipment, with a patient, being just being eager. But with that being said, being a consultant, not really
Hmm.
selling, but being more of a consultant.
How did you know you wanted to be in sales? Was that what you always wanted to do? You were obviously very involved in athletics.
Yeah, my father was a football coach when I was very, very young. He transitioned his career in 1980 to open a sporting goods store. And we would have vendors come in and try to sell my dad different products for our athletic business. And a lot of times my dad would say, have me sit in on those meetings. And he would say, watch this. I'm going to make sure and get some orders out of these guys from us. So not only did he teach me a lot about buying, but he also taught me a lot about selling, in that he was always looking for the next opportunity. So both my parents were self employed, and I saw them early mornings, late nights, being involved in the community. My dad was over in Mississippi. He was the over the football touchdown club. So he always took pride in everything he did. And I learned a lot from him in that, care about your community, care about your business, and find your why.
Hmm. Hmm. It's great word of advice. Sounds simple, hard to do, and hard to do consistently, but obviously it's led to a great career for you. You got into neuromodulation sales at some point back in 2013. Tell me about that transition and what was different for you to get into neuromodulation sales.
Yes.
What is neuromodulation sales?
So neuromodulation sales is being able to send a signal to the brain using electrodes, anodes, and cathodes to block pain signals using technology that Medtronic invented. Medtronic was a great company to work for. I started with them in 2013. Rob Weaver brought me in to the Nashville district at the time. And I had the great experience of learning from him. And then shortly, about a year into that, I started in 2013. I started in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I inherited a territory that was well established. And during the interview process, one of the things that was kind of shocking to me is Rob told me that, hey, you don't need more physicians to do surgery. You just need to find a way to go deeper with the ones we have.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, I've always been a hunter. And, not only did I listen to his advice, but I also didn't forget to make sure and talk to the other physicians to see if there were opportunities to grow the business. Several of the physicians that I met with initially had a bad taste in their mouth for different reasons. I was able to overcome some of those objections over the next year. I took the territory, was roughly at about 50% when I started. And then by the end of the year, I was over 90% for the first year. At the time, Scott Wallace was the vice president. He sent me a nice email and said, hey, normally when we hire someone, we hire them for different reasons. Either they're there to cultivate, bring in new business, those sorts of things. That was probably one of the things that motivated me the most, was him saying that
Mm-hmm.
not only was I able to do what they wanted, but also was able to go out and bring in some new business as well. So that was very impactful for me, and it meant a lot to get a message from higher up leadership.
Yeah, that's great. Again, finding tremendous success in neuromodulation sales. When you got into it, what did you have to change or what was different about selling in neuromodulation? Already at this point, pretty vast experience that you had in selling other medical devices. It was a change, I'm sure.
It was,
What stood out that was different to you, and what did you have to do differently to be successful as a neuromodulation rep?
the patient volume is great. One of the things that is underestimated in the interview process is how much interaction you're going to have with patients, how much time you're going to be spending doing reprogrammings and different things in the office. But I also looked at that as a huge opportunity to get FaceTime with APPs, get FaceTime with physicians, the schedulers, everyone in the office, making them important, making them understand that not only are we here to take care of their patients, but we're also looking for the next one. So I think neuromodulation is a difficult field. It's not for everyone. But one of the things that I enjoyed a lot was being able to make a difference in someone's life, being able to see someone come into a physician's office on a walker, and then 6, 8 months later, you see them again for a tune up, and they don't no longer have that device. So seeing someone's quality of life improved, seeing them not only be able to talk about that with the physician, but the patient, and hopefully continue to improve over time.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. You made a move out of Medtronic to Abbott. Tell us about that move. Was that for the opportunity to move into sales management?
Yes. So when I started with Medtronic, it was me and one clinical specialist. Within 2 years, we were able to transition to join a bigger team with Blake Philippi, one of the legends at Medtronic. I joined his team, and we went from 2 to 7. Blake was promoted to regional sales manager at Medtronic. I became the senior rep. We had 3 reps on that team and 4 clinical specialists, and we were responsible for a little over a $9 million quota. When I left Medtronic, it was in my 6th year. We were 190% to plan with 2 months to go.
Hmm.
And I got approached by a former manager, Corey McLean.
Hmm.
Corey contacted me about a management opportunity in Atlanta. I started my career in Atlanta, and I've always held a special place in my heart for Georgia. So we decided as a family to come to Abbott and take the regional sales manager role over Georgia, parts of South Carolina, and North Carolina.
Got it. And this was your first direct sales management opportunity.
No, I actually managed at PMT for a little over a year. I managed 8 reps
Oh,
at PMT. That was my first management opportunity. I was a player coach, so I was able to not only have a territory, but also manage 8 different geographies from Miami all the way up to Baltimore.
hmm.
So that was my first taste of management, but it became way more prevalent when I took over for Abbott, and managed 16 people was much different than 8. Having clinical
Yeah.
specialists, having direct sales reps, and just a management position, not a player coach situation.
Hmm. And when you stepped into sales management, you'd already done it. You had a year under your belt back earlier in your career, but you didn't have a ton of it. Now you're stepping in. Tell us about that transition back to running a big team. That's a big, robust team of 16 individuals. You're managing what the Atlanta Metroplex and parts beyond. Fill that in for us. What does it look like to be a regional manager for Abbott in Atlanta?
It is it's a huge responsibility, but I did enjoy it. We had lots of opportunity to work with KOLs, cadaver labs, education. Finding your niche is probably one of the biggest things we had to do. Atlanta is one of the toughest markets for neuromodulation just because of pricing pressure. A lot of physicians own ASCs in this market because of the laws are friendly towards that. So lots of customers. I say the biggest thing that was a change for me was when I was a rep, we had 3 or 4 offices that did probably 80% of our volume. In the Georgia market, we had probably 150 to 200 offices doing procedures with us. And it's a different animal altogether. So lots of customers, lots of physicians that do cases occasionally is what I would call it. Sometimes they obviously there is competition, but not the steady volume of cases from 4 or 5 offices. So that was probably the biggest change
Hmm.
moving into management. So time management became super important in that trying to find that opportunity to grow the business, make a difference. And we were able to do that with you know, when I left Abbott, I believe I was number 2 in the company. So
Yeah. When you stepped in, was this an expansion manager position? Were you replacing someone? What's a snapshot of kind of, was the business running smooth and smooth sailing? You just had to maintain it, or were there some structural things that needed to be fixed?
there were lots of things that needed to be changed. I think there were 7 managers in the previous 7 years.
Mm,
So there had been a lot of turnover in that position. First thing coming in, what one of the things I focused on was the people because I had done the job, I knew what it took to be successful, trying to develop relationships with the people that were already on the team and also finding ways to help them succeed is one of the things that I took a lot of pride in.
that's great. And you found a lot of success there.
I did. I did. Finding some relationships with physicians all over the country. Not only learning from some of the best physicians. Taking physicians to see Tim Deere and doing training there. I mean, he's one of the founders of pain medicine. He's really developed the market and really been influential in changing the way that studies are done and just his preparation and everything he's done has just been remarkable for the industry as a whole.
Hmm. What would you say to someone stepping into maybe their first management experience or close to it, into running a big, robust neuromodulation team the way you did in a major metro area? I'm sure you'd have advice for such a person. What would it be?
Yeah, I would say dive right in. Don't sit back. Get out there, meet the customers, find out what opportunities are there, coach your reps, do the best you can to help them develop and continue to grow. One of the things that has been exciting over the career is using tools, focus on the little things, focus on what you can control, and taking steps every day to get better at your craft. I think that is one of the most important things you can do. You're not going to win every day. And just like lifting weights or anything else you do, you don't see results immediately. So what you've got to do is just put in the effort every day, be as good as you can, try to bring everyone at the table up to the next level every day. If you do that, no matter what you do in life, you're going to be successful.
Yeah, that's great. Did you hire some people while you were there?
Hired a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to inherit some great people that were very tenured reps, but I also had to bring in people to change things up and help them continue to grow. I was able to bring in about 11 people total over my 4 years. Sometimes you find people that are different stages of their career, but developing people, I brought in one person in particular, a CS that I had brought in that I had actually recommended about a year and a half earlier to go to medical device sales college. So I'd been mentoring some people behind the scenes and helping them try to find their way in medical device sales, and bringing in someone like that you had already kind of been helping really was one of the things that I was really proud about. Was not only was I able to help them kind of define their career, but also bring them onto a team and use them to help me continue to service patients and meet sales quotas.
Yeah. Let's talk about, some profiles of people you hired. You hired a CS. Imagine you hired reps. I don't know if you hired associate reps, but I would love to know from the hiring manager what you're looking for. Let's say when you're hiring a CS, did you hire people straight out of the hospital? Did they already have industry experience? And, either way, what are you looking for as a hiring manager when you interview a CS?
Yeah, I mean, we hired a lot of clinical specialists one. So, in my opinion, if you're going to hire someone at a higher level, CSs basically went from CS1 to CS3. If you're hiring for a higher level position, usually that person would come out of the hospital. But In that one instance with the person we were talking about, she came out of the hospital but had aspirations to get into medical sales. So, when I initially met with her, I guided her into what would make her more successful. She didn't have presentation skills, she didn't have in service experience. So, finding someone that maybe does education in the hospital would be an ideal candidate for medical device sales because they've kind of already maybe led a team in the hospital, or they're used to teaching other areas of the hospital their experience. We had a lot of success hiring people that had x-ray experience, someone that could already kind of read x-rays and do things like that. But that being said, I hired 3 people that had no experience. The one thing that I found with those people is maybe they weren't used to healthcare, but they had a desire and a willingness to learn. So usually those were with more experienced reps that we would put those type of people with. It just depended on the circumstance. I
Hmm.
mean, there's no direct formula that's going to be perfect for every scenario. But what I can say is when hiring a rep, one of the most important things that you can do is find someone that doesn't give up, someone that has a desire to win, someone that can get beat today, but is trying to find a way to break down barriers and bouncing ideas. The most successful people are the ones that find a way.
Hmm.
And that to me is the most important thing. And I was able to do that multiple times with different backgrounds to fit the needs of the company.
It sounds like that's something that you're listening for when whoever's on the other side of the desk, people that find a way
Mm-hmm.
to make it happen, to break down barriers, etc. So these people that you hired with no healthcare experience at all, what were their backgrounds?
2 of them were military background. We had one in particular that had a logistical background in the military,
Hmm.
so very good at process. So for surgery, one of the biggest things, you gotta pack your bag. You've got to be able to be there early. You've got to find out if you're going to make it to the next procedure. So managing a schedule is very important in medical device sales. Being able to ask if you need a little bit more time to get somewhere, being able to comfortable to have that conversation with a physician or with an office or a surgery center or a hospital. Not being prepared is the worst thing you can do. If you show up without what you need, it's almost guaranteed that you're not going to get the next case from that physician. And you might never see him again if you don't have a strong enough relationship to recover from something like that.
Yeah, it's great. Straight from the hiring manager, y'all. Valuable information and insight. I know after so many years of doing this, it sounds probably to you like everybody ought to know it, Bob, but I deal with all sorts of folks, and
Mhm.
this information is not widely known about how to get into the industry. You pivoted out of Abbott. Tell us about that. You went over to Phoenix Ortho.
I did. I went through a downsize in Abbott in February of 2023. And I had dinner 2 weeks later with a physician, and he started telling me about his desire to start his own practice. And I helped him get that off the ground. We started an orthopedic practice that did pain management. We did extremity surgery as well as pain medicine. We started 1 day a week,
Hmm.
4 hours after his normal clinic. And we built that in the last few months up to 21 offices.
Wow.
So being able to leverage my relationships with physicians across the Southeast, we have been able to open their offices in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Eastern Tennessee, Nashville, Central Tennessee, and they continue to expand and had a lot of success there.
That's great. And if I heard correctly, you finished number two the year you left Abbott in the nation.
Well, when unfortunately we had started a new year, so when February rolled around, I just received an award in the mail, probably the biggest award
Mm.
in my opinion that I've ever gotten. Excellence in leadership just means that not only quota, but you make sure that your people are advancing. At Abbott, I think I want to say, had 5 clinical specialists that got promoted over the time that I was there. I was able to get several people promoted from, I had one rep in particular, Mike Dolan in Atlanta, that was a clinical specialist when I started. I saw his potential and promoted him to sales rep.
Hmm.
So he's since moved on from Abbott, but what I can tell you is there's the right kind of people and the people that make a difference every day. And those people should be rewarded. And in management, that's what I tried to do, was reward the people that deserved an opportunity for more. And, sometimes, unfortunately, you have to try to move people out that don't deserve that opportunity. So management can be very difficult in that, you want to see everybody do well and succeed.
Sure.
But there's always, I say, the cream always rises to the top. So that's what I tried to do, was to make sure that the people that were under my care, I tried to do everything I could to help them advance their career if they were deserving.
Absolutely fantastic, Bob. And so are you still working with the Phoenix Group, or if myself or some other enterprising recruiter or hiring manager hears this podcast and would like to call you, are you available?
I'm available, and I am consulting for Phoenix. I'm still helping them expand their network into new areas of the country. But with that being said, I'm looking to get back into medical device sales. I'm open to opportunities, and not only have I have a good track record of providing care to patients and also obtaining quota, but I want to say that I've always taken a passion, just like I did in sports, about doing the right thing and trying to make the experience good, not only for me, but for the offices that I deal with. So I think that history that I've had, the 5 Presidents Clubs, the 2 Reps of the Years, and then transitioning into consulting and bringing Phoenix Ortho to 21 offices, I think those things all show that no matter where I've been able to help the organization. And I want to bring those skills and my energy and also my enthusiasm to a new organization that we can mutually have benefits from.
Fantastic. Great stuff, Bob. Well, you won't be on the market very long at all, in my opinion. Thank you for being on. It's great to catch up with you.
Jordan, thank you so much for being here and also giving me this opportunity to talk about my career, and also the opportunity to continue to grow and develop on a daily basis.
Absolutely. You've impacted a lot of people.
Thanks, Jordan.
Appreciate you being on. Thank you for joining us on the Chase MedSearch podcast. I hope that you gained some helpful insight from today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and give us a like on your favorite streaming platform. It really helps grow our audience. For more information on Chase MedSearch, visit our website at chasemedsearch.com. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, I'm Jordan Chase, and this has been the Chase MedSearch podcast.